Previously on Smizzle, YouTuber Shuckmeister made a video. YouTuber Hamon Beat saw this. Now, I could start getting into what I think of them as people, but that's not what this video is about. You know, perhaps if we get, say, 15 to 20 likes. Okay, wow. It's not like I ruled out the possibility of getting 10 to 15 likes, but I was not expecting Hamon Beat to see the video and share it on Twitter and join my Discord server, link in the description. And you know, him doing that almost changed how I was gonna go about this video. Almost. But the fact is, he's probably not watching this. Everybody knows that when a big YouTuber finds a small YouTuber's content, they only watch one video and that's it. I feel like maybe I should give some background information first off, but I don't know. I feel like many people aren't going to click on this video without knowing who these two YouTubers are. But if you insisted on clicking on this because you want to support the channel or something, and you don't actually know who the Shuckmeister and or Hamon Beat are, then just go and watch the first minute and 2 seconds of my video breaking down plot holes in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. You know, I was going to be more clickbaity and satirical and ironic about this video, but I think I'm going to be a little bit more sincere. I kind of have been wanting to talk about these two for a while, as in since before quarantine, even since like 2019, so let's get into it, I guess. Now, I think my opinions on these two are interesting enough to warrant a whole video about them because my quote-unquote experience with them goes slightly deeper than just their YouTube videos. But also, I think it might be best to talk about their content first, just a bit, because it is somewhat relevant. So, the Shuckmeister's videos tend to employ a style of humor that, to be completely frank, I really just don't enjoy. When I first started looking at his channel, I thought his videos seemed fine, you know. The stand science stuff was pretty okay, as was the stop motion stuff and whatever have you. It's just that oftentimes when watching one of his videos, he would crack a joke and I would think to myself something like, oh, or just, that didn't land at all, or that joke was unnecessary, etc. Plus, they were usually just Joe jokes or topical meme references that had already been used 1,000 times over. Eventually, I just kind of unsubbed and went on with my life. And then, like, YouTube kept giving me his community tab posts. It was kind of annoying since he did them somewhat often and I wasn't subscribed, and YouTube would sometimes give me them multiple times every day, and I didn't know how to use the stop giving me community posts from this channel thing. And then his channel mascot or whatever came along and I was like, okay, well, in my opinion, it wasn't very well drawn or anything, but whatever. I figured out how to get YouTube to stop giving me his community posts and I went on with my life once again. And you know, I still would watch his videos sometimes, but honestly, I would just kind of walk away sometimes in the middle of the video, feeling a little bit dissatisfied. Like, wow, I really could have done something better with my life in those last, 10 minutes? So eventually, I stopped watching his channel altogether. At some point or another, I found Hamon Beat's Iraqi Forgot videos, and I'd already seen Shuck's videos, and I had not been too into the JoJo community to know that the Iraqi Forgot phrase was anything more than those videos. And I guess I found it pretty crazy and interesting that, wow, people actually think like this, you know? So I watched a lot of Hamon Beat's videos, and I honestly appreciated that sort of all info, no BS vibe he had in them. There were no unnecessary jokes or anything, and even though the videos didn't really have like super fancy editing or anything, you still got everything the title and the thumbnail would lead you to believe you got, and that was nice. So now let's go beyond the videos, shall we? I think we'll start with Hamon Beat because I think he's the more transparent of the two. What do I mean by that? Well, on Twitter and Discord, he's always having conversations, you know? He's typically on there talking about some cool game he really likes or explaining why he's frustrated about some internet thing he doesn't like or something like that. But of course, the tweets that get the most attention are the ones regarding the comments and supposed bad takes he finds on social media relating to JoJo and Iraqi Forgot and all such as that. He has this sort of gatekeeping mentality when it comes to the series. That's no secret, it's in his bio now. But I think he kind of takes all this JoJo stuff a little too seriously, you know? It's like I think there's more important stuff going on in life than having bad opinions about a Japanese comic book, you know? There's also this thing that happened where he made his entire Discord server 18 plus, apparently on a whim, because there was one porn channel. And of course, this is only really controversial to people who are under 18, which I was not when it happened. So to me, it was neither here nor there. If I did have to come up with something to say about it, it'd be that maybe he should have realized from the start that the majority of JoJo is a shonen, meaning that it's for teenagers, meaning that it should have been expected for teenagers to join his server. Meaning that he probably should have deleted the porn channel or not had one in the first place. That's all I really have to say about that, though. I've seen people say he's racist or something, but I really haven't seen any like solid evidence of this. So if you have some evidence in the comments that you really want to share, let me know. Now, next is the Shuckmeister. Most of his tweets consist of him just plugging stuff related to his channel, which kind of makes sense. But honestly, I'm less willing to follow the Twitter of a YouTuber if most of what they're going to do is talk about YouTube. I follow a YouTuber outside of YouTube with the idea that you can get more of a feel for the creator as a person. And with Shuck's Twitter, I really don't get that. And for the most part, there's a sense of genuineness about the Shuckmeister that's severely lacking outside of YouTube. Actually, that applies to inside of YouTube as well. First, we'll start off with the least logical reason that Shuckmeister just doesn't seem genuine to me. There's something about his whole overly positive attitude that for some reason is a bit off-putting, you know? Like, maybe I'm a little too cynical or something, but something about that whole happy all the time vibe just kind of rubs me the wrong way. The paranoia in me says that this is some kind of manipulation tactic to make himself seem more morally upstanding than he really is, so that whenever it's time to call somebody out or get somebody canceled, his followers will side with him. But like I said, this is the least logical reason for me to feel how I feel towards Shuckmeister. And when I say it out loud, I do realize it's more crackpot and tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist-esque than I thought it'd be. Now, the second thing is something I think will make a bit more sense when I finish explaining it, but it's the whole Shuckette thing. You see, I originally thought this was just like his channel mascot or whatever, but no, it seems like he's using Shuckette to represent himself. She's not just a channel icon, she's supposed to be him. Or so it seems to be, because of the way he shows Shuckette speaking when he's speaking, and the fact that he does VTuber stuff as Shuckette, and the fact that he seems to do this weird sort of flirty things with his friends on social media where they refer to him as if he were Shuckette. And you know, he does explain why he uses Shuckette in his videos, and the explanation has something to do with overthrowing the e-girl simp empire or something shit like that. That answer doesn't sit right with me at all. I think the real reason has to do with a little something called autogynephilia. To explain that, I suppose I'll have to engage in armchair psychology mode. So, autogynephilia is a paraphilia, or weird fetish, in which a man becomes sexually aroused at the idea of becoming female. This is kind of a very touchy thing, especially when one involves trans women into the conversation, but what is widely known as the difference between someone with autogynephilia and a trans woman is that a trans woman is a woman in every aspect, whereas an autogynephiliac, autogynephile, he only imagines and fantasizes about being turned into a woman or something as a sort, particularly in a sexual context. I think you might be able to see where I'm going with the Shuckmeister. From what I understand, Shuck is not transgender. He makes no effort to depict himself as such. And from what I've seen, pretty much every single drawing there is of Shuckette either has a slightly sexual undertone, or in more recent images, is just blatantly hypersexualized. The more time passes, the less safe for work Shuckette pics become, and the harder the harder it is becoming to convince me that this isn't autogynephilia. Reason number 3 as to why the Shuck doesn't feel genuine to me is the fact that he claims to be Catholic. This seems to be in direct contradiction with his Shuckette stuff. You see, even in the quite likely event that the autogynephilia theory is completely false, it goes absolutely without saying that he's obviously sexualizing Shuckette and practically encouraging other people to make Rule 34 of her or him or it. There was this one time where he posted this meme with a screenshot of the Rule 34 site where Shuck was typed into the search bar and Shuckmeister and Shuckle were the suggestion things that popped up. The numbers next to the results showed that Shuckle had slightly more porn than the Shuckmeister at the time, which is quite interesting. And below it was that one scene in One Piece where Luffy is screaming, "I will surpass you." I don't think it gets more blatant than that. He clearly wants people to make porn of his OC. And this is the thing that makes me the most uneasy or even upset. I was more or less born and raised a Christian. In fact, my father is a preacher at the church I went to, and my grandfather is the pastor. My immediate family is Baptist, but I did have some cousins that went to a Catholic church and our Baptist church. What I'm trying to say is that basically there are few fundamental differences in what any of the different sects of Christianity believe, because they're all based on the Bible, and the one thing the Bible repeatedly implies and straight up says is that any form of sexual immorality is a sin. Basically anything sexual that isn't consensual sex for the purpose of procreation between one man and one woman within wedlock is evil. And, well, this isn't news to anyone. Everybody knows this, and so the fact that Shuck tries to say he follows the word and everything, but is also campaigning for pornography, leaves a bad taste in my mouth. He wants people to make sexual art of his channel mascot. I don't think that's debatable or ambiguous or something like that. The thing about this is that his doing stuff like this reminds me of the very people that drove me away from Christianity and religion and all that in the first place. He seems to say that he's Catholic just to make himself look cooler or like a better person or something, which is what so many people do, and it leaves a terrible impression on me because the Bible and the Sunday school lessons and the sermons I listen to hammer in pretty hard that you can't say you're a Christian and then do all these distinctly non-Christian things. But so many people want to do this thing where they take some parts of the Bible and ignore the rest, and it makes me feel as though most Christians are just liars. I don't want to tell people how to live their lives or whatever, but if you say you follow a certain set of rules and then you straight up don't, it makes it hard to trust you. Next, I want to talk about my personal experiences with these two. The first real conversation I had with Hamon Beat was when I was going to work on this rather large-scale project thing doing a semi-journalistic inspection of the JoJo fanbase in the West. The idea was to interview a bunch of JoJo creators and get them to reflect on what JoJo fans are like. The interaction was simple. I told him what I was doing, he said he didn't want to, and I thanked him anyway. Then a while later, I made the video breaking down all the plot holes in JoJo, and he saw it, and he felt so defeated at it, because essentially it ended his career of debunking JoJo plot holes, that he shared it on his Twitter. This boosted the view count by quite a bit, and it got me a good few new subscribers. This gave a nice little spur for my channel, and it honestly changed my perception of him a tiny bit. Everything I said earlier I still believe, but him sharing the video I made gave off the idea that he's somewhat considerate of the smaller people doing their best, you know? Now, my first interaction with the Shuckmeister was much earlier this year, around March or so, and it went a little bit differently. Basically, there was some Twitter thread or something where we were allowed to share our unpopular opinions regarding JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I decided to go on there and share mine. And since it was Twitter, I decided to go and make my unpopular opinions a little extra spicy. Among the things I said were, the Shuckmeister has never told an effective joke in his entire career. Now, okay, let me set the stage a little further for you. This was on a thread by what I think was just some random popular anime account, and I did not at the Shuckmeister. There was no actual reason the Shuck should have seen the tweet, but somehow he did. And not only did he see it, he screenshotted it and posted it on his Twitter, trying to get back at me by going through my channel and trying to roast my only JoJo video at the time. I didn't know this happened until like a day or two later, at least. This gave off this feeling of fragility, to be honest. The fact that my one offhanded comment amongst a slew of others was enough to get him to go through my profile, find my channel, scroll through it to find the appropriate thing to make fun of, and then make a thinly veiled invitation for his followers to bully me in the form of a tweet makes me just wow, you know? And then after that, he included my tweet in a bunch of others that supposedly show how toxic Hamon Beat fans are. Which is strange because, yeah, I watch his videos and I follow him on Twitter, but that tweet, in my opinion, on Shuck has nothing to do with Hamon Beat. Like, channels like Giguk, Nuxtaku, The Masked Man, The Anime Man, they don't have any rivals or beef with any other channels as far as I know, but I still don't like them. Shuck is just kind of part of that group, whose content I'm not really particularly impressed with. Their tastes really just don't fit mine, but the only difference between Shuck and those other channels is that I have enough reason to dislike him as a person as well. And this insecurity just kind of adds to it. Like, how would he react if somebody made a whole video criticizing him? So, there you go. Those are my opinions. So the thing about opinions is that they are not facts, and because of that, it's possible for someone to have an opinion that doesn't line up with someone else's. It's also possible for two people with differing opinions to respect each other's opinions. It's also possible for opinions to change. All of these things are okay. My opinions on these two could change literally tomorrow. And all it would take is a good explanation for one thing or another with solid reasoning. If you can explain to me why you think Hamon Beat is genuinely a bad person, I may be inclined to change my opinion that he is not a bad person, and agree with you. If you can explain to me why you think the Shuckmeister is genuinely a good person, I might be inclined to believe you as well. If my opinions become drastically different to the point in which I have to make a follow-up video taking something I said back, then I won't hesitate to do so. Now subscribe.